taking a look at these guys rationally, take a look at the performances of the lines and the linebacking core over the past couple of years prior to this year, and step in and say, Sean, you got to make a change here?
But you're not talking about something that's rational.
Yeah.
In putting a staff together.
Yeah.
And certainly there's a certain element that that loyalty becomes and trustworthiness becomes something that is important. And it's obvious that is what Peyton is viewing in what he's doing. That he's got on the defensive side of the ball, he's got Joe Vitt, who's his mouthpiece. He can hire anybody as a coordinator, and Joe Vitt's going to be able to tell Sean what's going on. And with the defensive line, he just has. And I've seen coaches go down with the ship because they're loyal to their assistants.
Yeah.
That was certainly Jim Mora was like that, and Bump Phillips to a certain extent. When an owner would go and say, you got to move somebody, and he goes, well, I'm not moving. Well, you're gone. Well, okay. We've seen that happen before as well. So I don't. It's not rational. Is the point that I'm trying to make. That what you're saying makes sense. And it's entirely logical, but once again, logic and common sense doesn't have a whole lot to do with it.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you a question based upon the announcement from today that if you took a look at the 53-man roster on today's 53-man roster,
right.
C.J. Spiller, it was noticeable to me, and he had a tweet out last night as kind of a questionable tweet about not, just staying faithful and not understanding the decisions, of, certain people or whatever. He is fourth in the pecking order as the Saints running back. You have Ingram, Hightower, Cadet, which I found very odd, at number 3. Then you have C.J. Spiller, Lasco, then Marcus Murphy. How do you view that, Coach? Do you think that usually changes based upon what's going to happen on Sunday?
If it's on paper and it comes from the Saints, I don't know how much credit we can put into it.
Okay.
That's the skills that all of them bring to the table are so different that I think it's going to turn out. How different are you going to be? What are they trying to accomplish this week? Is what Mark Ingram, with his consistency, brings in, and what Tim Hightower brings to the table is different. What Spiller and Murphy and Cadet bring are completely different from those three. So I'm thinking right now that what they're putting on paper isn't all that particularly accurate.
Okay. All right. So Brandon Coleman at number 2 may not be accurate as well, right?
I would be shocked if he's really the number 2 receiver.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He's ranked number 3. So
let me see. Because I'm trying to look at it.
No, I'm kidding right now.
When I click on it, and it shows you, this is kind of crazy. You go to the Saints website, you click on roster, and you click on unofficial depth chart. You get a flip card from September the 1st with the Ravens and the Saints. You're not even getting. You're just getting them. A flip card is nice and all that, but that doesn't tell you a whole lot. But I don't think there's any question that Cooks and Snead and Thomas are the top 3 there, and then Brandon Coleman and Tommy Lee Lewis will be scratching for playing time.
Yeah. Okay, and we have Kruger. He's going to be starting at defensive end opposite of Cam Jordan, and that has to be tough for Edebali. I know the kid has been making some strides in his performance, and he really, in my opinion, was the only one consistently putting some pressure on the quarterbacks during the preseason games. So let's see what happens with Edebali there.
And I think with Edebali top, they're gonna probably use him on the passing down. But I agree with you. Here we go again.
But that's why they have Kruger. They brought Kruger to be the rusher.
But
right?
What they're going to be playing here is they're going to be playing Kruger when they're playing a 4-3, or is he going to be outside playing a hybrid spot when they're playing a 3-4?
Dad, what do you think?
He's going to be on the outside shoulder of a tackle somewhere chasing the quarterback, whether it's 3-4, 4-3, or 4-2. I mean, the Saints are very seldom in their base defense, which is 4-3. Even 4-3s in professional football, you could almost describe them as 3-4. If I just put X's and O's down, it would be difficult to tell sometimes, because the Saints this year in their 4-3 are going to have a nose tackle, a defensive tackle, and two defensive ends. Well, if you change one of the defensive ends, the nose tackle, and you make if you change the defensive tackle to a defensive end, then you're in 3-4. So, there's a lot that's going to be there's a lot of correlation between the two. But Kruger is going to be on the outside shoulder of a tackle as an edge rusher, and that's what he did with the Ravens. When he was with the Ravens, he had his most successful tenure when he was with them. Played in the Super Bowl here, had an extraordinarily productive Super Bowl game.
Yeah,
he played 22 plays. He played 22 plays in that game. He had, if I remember right, 6 tackles,
2 sacks,
tackle behind the line, and 2 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
So in 22 plays, that's pretty good. And they used him in nickel situations, and he was just an edge rusher, even though I believe he was listed as an outside linebacker with them. So ultimately, that's going to be what he is. And who's in this thing? Who's in what situations? You're going to have it very easily could come up with a pass rushing group that would have Edebali and Jordan and Fairley and Kruger all in at the same time. When you have to have put all your good pass rushers in there, and Fairley would be the nose, and Jordan could be the 3 technique, and you have those 2 other guys at outside rushers. Kruger's got to make something happen, because right now the Saints don't have a guy that by himself the other team's got to pay attention to, and that to me is what is if the other team has got to identify where you are and then adjust their pass protection to where that guy is, then you're an effective pass rusher. If they could just draw up the base play on the board and that base pass protection takes care of everybody, you're not being very effective. And right now, the Saints don't have anybody that can that the other team's got to scheme against.
What does that say about Cam Jordan?
Yeah, he's a good NFL player, and really no more than that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, all right.
It's not like that's bad, but still, you're a good, solid NFL player.
Okay.
What about Kruger? Dad? Why didn't he make it in Cleveland?
Hugh Jackson.
It was the amount of money to his production. He's been very inconsistent in his results. He had his last year with Baltimore was very good. Then he signs a good contract with Cleveland. Then he only has 4 sacks the first year. Then he goes up to 11 sacks the next year. And then he was down to 2.5 or 3 last year, even though he led the team last year in pressures by a good margin. There was no comparison between him and the rest of the team in quarterback pressures. In pro football, it's not only who, what, where, when, why, and how, but how much as well. And so for what he was making, they felt that in the era of analytics, that his production and his salary weren't meshing.
Okay. Yeah, he only had, 2.5 sacks? And
I believe that's correct.
Yeah. And
so he's been yo-yoing back and forth. So if you look at the every other year peaking, then that puts the Saints in good shape.
I know where you were going with that.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, Professor, you always say they are a trending team. They always follow the patterns.
But Colin, there's a trend with Saints free agents that have
not always the best.
Keenan Lewis. I mean, they just have not worked out lately at all.
Okay. Well, the Saints announced their 2016 captains. On offense is Breeze and Unger. Defense, Laurinaitis, as well as Cam Jordan. Special teams, Mike Moundy. No big surprises there. It's a lot better than Brandon Browner last season being a defensive captain.
Shows you how valid that particular
look,
that's a great honor.
Yeah, look, man.
You mean to tell me you fellas are going to miss all the holding penalties in the cornerbacks and secondary?
Look, Browner couldn't even stay with the Seahawks. Yeah, well, he couldn't even stay with the Seahawks in his third time around with them. So, okay, Coach, let's go down to this. Let's quickly go through what are some of the key matchups the Saints fans need to pay attention to against the Oakland Raiders.
Okay, starting with just overall the course of the game. Can the Saints steal a possession or steal yardage through returns in the kicking game? They've got to gain an advantage there. If they just get an average day in the kicking game, or they don't get some kind of score either defensively or in the kicking game, they've got to recovering an onside kick or forcing a fumble on a kick return where you're getting two possessions back to back. The Saints have got to steal a possession somewhere. They can't just go back and forth with Oakland. Coby Fleener has got to be a factor. We haven't seen that so far at all, and I'm not sure if his skill set fits in with what the Saints need him to do. Can Coby Fleener and Michael Thomas be an influence in the red zone? That's one of the reasons why they're there, to give a height factor when you get in the red zone. Can Nick Farley, how many plays can we get out of Nick Farley at full effort? Because he's got to play more with Sheldon Rankins out. Nick Fairley has got to be able to play more plays at full effort. He can play. He's in condition to play a lot of plays, but he has not been in the habit so far in his career of playing at full bore every single play. Can Laurinaitis hold up in sub packages in nickel and dime defenses? He's more athletic than I thought he was. He's got more athletic ability than I thought he had looking at him in the preseason. But still, his shortcoming is going to be in the nickel and dime defenses. Are they going to have to sub for Laurinaitis in those situations? Can the Saints take advantage of Daniel Lasco and Eric Harris? Those two have unique talents, not only offensively and defensively, but in the kicking game as well. Looking at them closely in the kicking game especially, they show a lot of ability there, and those abilities can get used not only in the kicking game. I think they're that good. Saints' running game has got to be effective, not so much, but certainly to take pressure off of Drew Brees, but to take pressure off the offensive line. If the Saints can run the football now, the Raiders' defensive front has got to be able to defend the run before they go at the quarterback. The Saints have got to be able to run the ball to take the pressure off the offensive line. Will the young cornerbacks hold up? Because now when you look at Delvin Breaux, Devontae Harris, Sterling Moore, who was just recently signed, P.J. Williams, and Ken Crowley, Only one of those is a draft choice, and that's P.J. Williams.